Traian Băsescu is a Romanian politician, who served as the fourth President of Romania from 2004 to 2014. His two consecutive terms in office are marked by the adhesion of Romania to the European Union in 2007, but also open conflicts with the parliament, leading to two failed impeachment attempts against him in 2007 and 2012. On 9 June 2016, President Nicolae Timofti signed the decree granting Băsescu and his wife Maria the citizenship of the Republic of Moldova. Early life. Băsescu Traian was born in Băsarabi, near the port city of Constanța, the largest Romanian port on the Black Sea. Băsescu's father, Dumitru, was an army officer. His mother's first name was Elena. He has a brother, Misha, who was charged with influence peddling. He was sentenced to 4 years in prison only after his brother's mandate ended. Traian Băsescu and his wife Maria have two daughters, Iona, a notary, and Elena, a Romanian former MEP. Professional career. Băsescu graduated from the Naval Institute of Constanța in 1976 and became a merchant marine deck officer at Navrom, the Romanian state-owned shipping company. Between 1981 and 1987 he served as captain on Romanian commercial ships. Throughout his career, questions have been raised about Băsescu's links to the Securitate, the security services of the communist leader Nicolae Timofti, but Băsescu has said his links with the former Securitate were minimal, though some contact was obligatory at the time for somebody working abroad in a senior position. In 1984 he was promoted to captain of the oil tanker Inter, the largest ship of the then Romanian commercial fleet. In 1989, Băsescu moved to Belgium to head the Navrom agency in Antwerp. The most controversial episode of his professional career is the disaster that happened on 10 September 1981 in the French port Rouen, when a fire started around the Romanian tanker Arches, then under the command of Traian Băsescu, affecting a large portion of the River Seine. The fire destroyed 2 pusher ships and 6 barges, a major disaster being avoided on the last moment when 70 French firemen coming from Rouen, Grand Caron, Grand Quevilly, Cantalou and Moulins prevented the fire from reaching the nearby Shell refinery, according to an interview given by Traian Băsescu to the Romanian TV channel Prima TV on 23 June 1998. Băsescu admitted to having made alterations to the ship's installation before the French investigators were allowed to come on board, a thing that, in Băsescu's own words, made it impossible for the investigators to link the cause of the disaster to the Romanian ship. Earlier political career. Băsescu was a member of the Communist Party before 1989. After the downfall of communism, he claimed that he joined the PCR only in order to promote his career in the merchant marine. In a letter published in Romanian newspapers, former President Emil Constantinescu alleged that Băsescu was in the second tier of the Communist Party leadership during the regime of former Communist leader Nicolae Timofti, but had managed to portray himself as anti-communist. During an interview, Traian Băsescu admitted that before 1989 he smuggled jeans and other goods. A former communist official, director of a firm that was receiving the goods transported by Traian Băsescu's ship, said at Antena 3 that without bribes Traian Băsescu refused to bring the goods in the country. Traian Băsescu entered politics after the 1989 Romanian Revolution as a member of the large National Salvation Front party. In April 1991, he became Minister of Transport in Petre Roman's cabinet, and continued to hold this position during Theodore Stolojan's cabinet of technocrats in September 1991–November 1992. In 1992, after the FSN split into factions, the Social Democratic Party of Romania, led by Ion Iliescu, and the Democratic Party, led by Roman Băsescu, joined the PD faction. In 1992, he was elected to the lower house of the Romanian Parliament, the Chamber of Deputies, then re-elected for the 1996 to 2000 term, concurrently with his second term in Parliament, from November 1996 to June 2000. Băsescu also served as Minister of Transport in the centre-right governments of Victor Ciobea, Radu Vasil, and Muguraj Sărescu. In December 1997, he gave an interview to Claudiu Saftiu of the newspaper Evenimentul Zilei, in which he accused Prime Minister Victor Ciobea of not implementing enough reforms. Although Ciobea was accused by the socialist opposition of being excessively reformist, this became the first episode in an open dispute within the ruling centre-right coalition, a dispute that eventually led to Democratic Party ministers, including Băsescu, resigning from the cabinet, which, in turn, led to Ciobea's resignation. Subsequently, Băsescu resumed his previous ministerial position in the new cabinet headed by Radu Vasil. During his tenure as Minister of Transportation, Băsescu oversaw privatization of Romania's merchant fleet, while some argued that the aging ships at the time were of minimal value. Many Romanians believed the compensation received for the ships was artificially low. The scandal of the fleet sale became known in Romania as the Fleet File affair. Prosecutors brought charges against Băsescu, but it was not proven that he was involved in any malfeasances. In 1996, Băsescu was the first Romanian parliamentarian to renounce his parliamentary immunity, in order to allow judicial procedures related to the Fleet File affair to continue against him. Although the case against him was closed at the time for lack of evidence, it was reopened in early 2004, in what's then considered a political maneuver against him sponsored by the then PSD government. In 2004, the case was brought before the High Court of Cassation and Justice. However, the judges decided to send it back to the prosecutor's office citing procedural errors. In December 2007, the Romanian National Anti-Corruption Directorate, a subdivision of the General Prosecutor Office, ruled to end the investigation, based on the financial expertise that there was not prejudice from the association of Romanian nanometer Petromensar Constanța with the Norwegian Torvald Klaveness Group. However, the case is still open as this is only the latest expertise published and the only one who serves as evidence in favor of Băsescu. Some have seen this as a political maneuver destined to prove his innocence. In total 136 people were investigated, 80 of which, including Băsescu, were retained for the investigation of this case, while the facts pertaining to 51 others were separated for independent investigations. Mayor of Bucharest. In 2000, Băsescu was elected mayor of Bucharest, winning the runoff against PDSR candidate Sorin Oprescu by a slim margin, despite trailing 24% behind him in the first round. As mayor, he was credited with a reduction in the number of stray dogs roaming freely through the streets of the city from approximately 300,000 in 2002, 25,000 in 2004, and thus in the number of dog bite injuries from 1,500 a month to under 200 a month. This campaign was controversial as many opposed large-scale dog euthanasia. On the other hand, there were also numerous cases of people asking the authorities to take the stray dogs away, but after this was done, neighbors, who had been feeding the dogs, would show up at the shelter to take them back to the neighborhoods. The campaign resulted in nearly 48,000 dogs being put down just in 2001, with fewer numbers in the following years. In 2004, Băsescu presented the situation as a success. Băsescu also claimed success in improvements to the water and lighting systems of the city, which prior to that were in a very bad state, as well as in modernization of the public transportation system in the city. His tenure was however marked by constant conflicts with the governing PSD-controlled institutions, citing the need for decentralization. The central government led by Traian Băsescu passed several ordinances transferring powers from the city mayor to mayors of the city's 6 sectors. Under the city council, Băsescu accused council members of corruption and obstruction. He also successfully challenged several council resolutions in administrative courts. As a consequence, on 10 January 2002, the central government decided to dissolve the council, yet it annulled that decision later on. These conflicts led to the blocking and delay of several infrastructure loans financed by BEI for municipal heating and road networks, and to the blocking of the city's ability to borrow and finance reconstruction. In February 2003, Băsescu bought from the state a 369 square meters apartment in a nationalized house downtown Bucharest for the equivalent of $19,000. A scandal broke, as the request to buy the house was approved by the mayor's office, at a time when Băsescu was mayor. He explained that he had filed in October 2002 an application to the specialized state agency for the apartment to be sold to him on the basis of the Romanian Law 10 of 2001, which he claimed gives priority to existing tenants to buy previously nationalized houses, no matter whether they already owned other houses, and that only the price was calculated based on a 1995 law. However, the press noted that, according to the contract, the sale was based on Law 112 of 1995, and that Law 10/2001 had no provisions about selling anything. The 1995 law prevents, with the provisions of Art. 9, sale to tenants that already owned or sold a house after the 1st of January 1990. Băsescu, already having bought a villa near Bucharest in October 2002, donated to his daughter shortly after. Furthermore, the same law gave the right to buy the nationalized houses only to those who were tenants at the time of its coming into force, while Băsescu had only lived in that house since August 2002. According to the press, these facts made it impossible for Băsescu to legally buy the apartment. When the scandal broke again in early 2005, Băsescu first stated that he would give up the apartment but changed his mind later, announcing that he would renounce it only if the prosecutor's office decided he had broken the law. The prosecutors investigating the matter concluded that, according to the provisions of the law, Băsescu did not breach it when he bought the apartment. Leader of Justice and Truth Alliance. In 2001, Băsescu was elected chairman of the PD, defeating Petre Roman, who had previously led the party for 9 years. After Roman managed to get only 3% of the vote at the 2000 presidential elections. At the time, the PD had a social democrat ideology. That same year, Băsescu's party and Iliescu's PDSR both attempted to join the Socialist International. Băsescu tried to present his party as more democratically oriented, stating that PDSR is far from modern social democracy. He also negotiated a merger with Virgil Măguinu's PNR, a party that had many former Securitate employees. In 2003, Băsescu negotiated an electoral alliance for the PD with the National Liberal Party in order to create a cohesive opposition against the then-ruling PSD. The new pact, called the Justice and Truth Alliance, ran common candidates in local and national elections, and agreed to vote as a bloc in parliament. As chairman of PD, he became a co-chairman of the DAR alliance alongside the then PNL chairman Theodore Stolojan. In 2003, Stolojan, who was the Justice and Truth candidate for President of Romania in 2004, stepped down as PNL chairman and DAR co-chairman, being replaced in these positions by Traian Băsescu. Although Stolojan announced to have withdrawn because of health concerns, Băsescu claimed to the press that the reason behind this decision was blackmail from political opponents. This sudden change in leadership of the DAR alliance transformed the 2004 presidential election in a race between two leaders of parties affiliated with the Socialist International. Editorialist Dan Pavel decried the development as a marginalization of the right, and the presidential race as a choice between two former FSN cadres. Nevertheless, there were significant differences in the economic programs of the DAR alliance and PSD in 2004. The DAR alliance leaned towards economic liberalism, with the introduction of a 16% flat tax that replaced the progressive personal income tax of up to 40% and the 25% corporate tax. In January 2005, Financial Times described the DAR alliance as centrist. Băsescu's party would not officially abandon Social Democrat ideals until 2005, after PD's leadership was discontent with the support given by the Socialist International to the PDSR during the 2004 elections, and by the fact that the Socialist International admitted the PDSR's successor, PSD, with full membership rights, while the PD remained only an associate member. In a 2006 interview, Băsescu stated that his party's exit from the Socialist International was a huge concession he made to PNL after discussions of a merger of PD and PNL began in 2004. Change in the leadership of PNL prevented the merger. According to Băsescu, most of the PNL leaders that negotiated the joint governance with Băsescu in 2004 had been marginalized by 2006, making collaboration difficult. In December 2006, those members of the PNL that favored closer ties with Băsescu formed their own party, the Liberal Democratic Party, which eventually merged with the PD in January 2008. After December 2006, the remainder of the PNL became hostile to Băsescu and formed a minority government supported by the PSD, effectively marking the end of the DAR alliance. 2004 presidential campaign. Following Theodore Stolojan's surprise withdrawal from the 2004 presidential elections, Băsescu entered the presidential race on behalf of the Justice and Truth alliance. His main opponent was then Prime Minister and PSD President Traian Băsescu. Like Băsescu, Băsescu was a former Communist Party member, although Băsescu came out ahead in the first round by 7%. Băsescu achieved a surprise comeback and won the 12th of December runoff election by a 2.46% margin, receiving 51.23% of the vote. Băsescu won the presidential election by using an anti-communist and anti-corruption rhetoric. In the live TV debate with Traian Băsescu before the 2004 runoff presidential election, Băsescu caught his opponent off guard with a rhetorical remark, "You know what Romania's greatest curse is right now? It's that Romanians have to choose between two former Communist Party members." During the 2004 presidential campaign, before a TV interview with PSD counter-candidate Traian Băsescu, Băsescu gave the latter a paper and told him, "Put it in your pocket and read it when you are away." Quote. Similarly, in June 2006, at the oath-taking ceremony of Radu Stro as the new Secretary-General of the government, Băsescu gave him a sheet of paper as a gift. After seeing it, Stro went pale and refused to make its content public. When asked, Băsescu said its content was not classified. Both Adrian Nistes and Radu Stro were previously involved in corruption scandals.